Well, look at that. It is time for your garden buddies to deliver all the great information we've accumulated over the week. We are back in studio, same studio, iHeartMedia and Entertainment, San Diego, California. Having a good time so far. The last hour has been interesting with all of our discussions here. But we have a different show to do. It's about plants and gardening and horticulture, Tiger. So welcome, John, Tiger, what's happening?
You know, we were supposed to accumulate knowledge this week. I didn't get that memo.
That's kind of what, that's what the cue cards say.
Oh,
okay. Now, whether that's true or not, it sounds good. Yeah. And then you come on and blow it.
Yeah, well, the Padres played this week, and so,
oh my gosh.
Rick, I didn't accumulate a lot of knowledge.
Rick says, sorry about the Padres.
Yeah.
Hey, well, I like John's favorite chant, same old Padres. Same old Padres.
But you know what is a good thing about being a Padre fan is that just when they do well, we're happy. Like we're you know what I mean? Like that's good enough. Like there's no expectation. Hey, but would you rather be happy than like just disappointed all the time?
What? It's like pulling the rug underneath you, from underneath you. Just like, whatever.
No. I feel good about ourselves because, going up against the Dodgers, who have like one of the biggest payrolls in all of baseball and all of this legacy and all these great players and stuff, and then be able to compete with them, not bad.
So the next time, never mind. I was going to equate this to your job and the people that work for
you. Hey, I showed up today. You're welcome.
You forgot to let Tiger know what color T-shirt to wear.
I know, huh?
Yeah, but I like the way he's dressed. I like that. That looks sharp. Are you going someplace after the show?
No, just going home.
Wow,
I put this on just for you.
You dressed up for the show?
Yeah, exactly.
That's nice. I like that.
Collared.
And that black looks good.
It was a tough drive coming in this morning, and I only have like a 3-minute drive.
Down the street.
Yeah, exactly. But one of those days when the sun is low and there's clouds, and so whenever you turn, it's kind of hard to see the road because you get that glare.
Yeah, right, sure.
So I could only imagine John, because during your drive, is it one of those times where you're going to go in and out of the clouds? Because you have these ups and downs. And sometimes it's like you're in the clouds.
You're talking about low fog?
Yeah. And then,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was sunny all the way here.
There wasn't any fog?
Until I got to just south of Mira Mesa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you entered the fog.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, dense fog advisory, right?
But it was dark when I left.
Oh.
Okay, so people, somebody said, who was that they're a Dodger fan, or a Giants fan, husband's a Dodger fan.
Ooh.
That was Lisa.
There's always next year.
Yeah, always. That's our motto.
Always next year.
That's our motto. Always
Opening day,
year.
spring training, eternal hope.
Exactly.
But we're not going to let you down here on Garden America.
No.
If you're a big fan of ours. And if we do, please let us know. Go ahead, John.
Well, Carla says at least they made it to the playoffs. You could be an Angels fan.
True.
You know what? That's true. That's a sorry organization.
See? We're looking good. Yeah.
Positive spin.
The hot weather's over, right?
I hope. Now, you said next week we're back in the 70s, right?
Yeah. I might have just jinxed it.
It is.
This happens every year. We can't, go gently into that whatever night. Can't we just go gently in the fall once in a while?
Instead of just harsh
Santa Anas.
Boom.
We have yet to have a Santa Ana. Huh?
Yeah. And it just wrecks the plants. But I've spent probably the last 2 weeks just trying to bring my roses back from. So we're going to do the radio show from my house in 2 weeks, right?
26th, is that what?
Yeah, in 2 weeks, right? The 26th
so hopefully the roses will still be alive.
From John's pad. Now, last time it was in the library. Could we go out in the patio?
It's up to Tiger.
Let's set up in the patio.
We're going to do the patio because we don't want roses. We want to have the roses behind us.
Sure, exactly. So that'll be in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. It'll be outside. It'll be hopefully nice weather. October in Fallbrook. What do you think?
It could be
85 with
cool and
wind,
overcast, or it could be 90 degrees.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll have to see.
We'll feel like we're in a furnace when your lips get all chapped.
So you never know when to plant fall vegetables. Where I live. Where you live, it's okay, right? Is it safe? It
is because, like we said, I mean, there's actually water falling out of the trees. You know what I mean? Like when it's so dewy,
it's so heavy
that under the tree, it's like it's almost like raining. Yeah, right now. That's been that way For the last week, we've had that marine layer coming in and just bringing moisture in.
Very heavy air.
Yeah. I've seen a huge amount of growth happening in the yard from that. It's that time of year when, right now for us in the coastal regions, plant your veggies for sure.
Yeah. And I told you I had a bunch of growth. Roses went nuts the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, every rose that I have, like Pope John Paul blooms all the time. Laura Bush, pretty consistent. But the rest of them, all of a sudden, boom, here you go. Here's some more petals.
I was thinking of you the other day because I was looking. I have one section where there's a bunch of florist roses. And I think there was Green Planet was there. But then also with Green Planet were probably 3 or 4 other green roses.
What other green roses do you have?
Yeah, they're super green.
That are actually like really green. Where Green Planet, I think you
super green is greener.
See, I think years ago you mentioned that because I used to live inland as opposed to the coast now, but you said depending upon where you live, Green Planet's going to be either more green or a lesser green.
Might have said that.
No, I think
that's true for St. Patrick.
Right. Because
St. Patrick's only green in hot weather.
Because my green is a light green, not a deep green.
I need to borrow some green after the show.
Is there a green rose called Envy?
Green with envy.
And
there may be. I'm not sure. I've thought of using that name before.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a rose called Envy.
Well, the reason I said to hold on because usually John comes right back and says, "Oh yeah, this time he's had to think," and I'm like, "Whoa, maybe we're on to something."
Well, I think there is because when I was thinking of using envy in a name, I was thinking of like green with envy or
yeah, well, exactly.
But
sure.
I think the reason I was thinking that was because there was already an envy.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
your answer, Brian, is I don't know.
What?
When's the last time he didn't know?
Wait. We need that and like
usually if he doesn't know, he'll make something up, and then we have to fact check him.
Just makes.
So wait a second.
John just makes up things.
Yeah, but
as he just goes along.
If you deliver it with authority, sounds good, doesn't it?
He doesn't say a lot, so that's when he does say it. He's he's right.
A lot.
Exactly.
He thinks a lot.
He's judging all the time.
This has been a fast segment so far. We better get to that quote of the week, which, by the way, bravo, great quote.
Yeah,
short and to the point.
I don't know if you read the newsletter, but there was the article about the walnut in there.
Yes.
And I was thinking, I just took a look at the article, and it starts out Burbank's paradox. I'm thinking, that sounds like a philosophical question.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever solved Burbank's paradox? Yeah. But anyway, the quote is from Luther Burbank,
yes.
Brian. And he said, "Flowers always make people better, happier, and more helpful. They are sunshine, food, and medicine for the soul."
Yeah.
I was under the assumption years ago that the community of Burbank in Los Angeles was named after him, and somebody said no, has nothing to do with him.
That's correct.
Yeah. Just a funny coincidence or what? What's the story behind that?
It was named after another Burbank.
Yeah.
Lesser known Burbank.
Well, not around that area.
Luther Burbank.
Luther Burbank.
You don't hear too many people named Luther today.
Last name, Lex.
Yeah.
Lex Luthor.
Very good. Very good.
Okay.
And Martin Luther King, but not a first name or a last name.
But, you don't know a Luther, do you? A person?
You want to be serious or make some silly joke?
No,
I
either way.
don't.
But I don't know a Luther. Do you know a Luther?
Luther Vandross.
Oh, very good.
Do you know him,
John?
though?
No, that's good.
No.
Very good. Big singer in the 80s.
Yeah.
He was big, right?
Do you know anybody that wears a cape?
I remember the Cape episode of... speaking of that, here's a little known
George's
fact.
dad's attorney.
Yeah, here's a little known fact. Paul Simon wrote a Broadway play called The Cape Man.
As Johnny Carson used to say, I did not know that.
It was a Broadway musical.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, it ran for a week before it closed down or something like that.
Oh, like that was it, a week?
Yeah.
It wasn't very long, and it wasn't critically acclaimed, but...
Well, he's not very tall either.
There's some great songs in there.
I didn't know that. Look at this. Look at all this Burbank information we're getting.
Oh, yeah?
Burbank was named for a Dr. Burbank. Whoever he was, I don't know. But we lived in Burbank from 1948 to 1953. That's from Carolyn.
Oh.
Ah.
It's nice to have listeners who are
Dr.
smarter
Burbank,
than we are.
no?
You know, they can chime in and set us straight.
Yeah.
Hey, we're getting close to break time. We've got a guest today, quickly, Tiger. What's going to be happening?
Yeah, so we're going to have a guest joining us from the East Coast today, the New York Botanical Garden. We're going to be chatting with a representative from the garden and talking about what they have coming up. A lot of fun stuff. You know, botanical gardens do a lot of wonderful things through this time of year.
Right.
So they have some great exhibits and great events that we're going to be chatting about.
All right, so chime in. Those on Facebook Live, questions, comments, here we go. Those on Biz Talk Radio, welcome. We're going to take our first break for our friends on Biz Talk Radio, pay a few bills. Back after these messages, welcome to Garden America. Brian, Tiger, John, here we go. Stay with us. Welcome back to Garden America. Back from that break as we continue, kicking off your weekend on a good note, hopefully. Back in the saddle, Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. We've got most of our early business out of the way, Tigers, so let's crank things up, and here we go.
Yeah, this morning we have a guest joining us all the way from New York. We have Helena LaPorte from the New York Botanical Garden. She's the director of public programming over there. And we're going to be chatting a lot about the different events that they have coming up, what the Botanical Garden is, and also how you can get involved with the Botanical Garden. Helena, good morning. How are you doing today?
Hi, good morning, Tiger. I'm well, thanks. How are you all?
Doing great. Thanks for joining us this morning. Now let's start off by telling us a little bit about your role and how you got started over there.
Yeah, of course. So I'm the director of public programming, as you said, at NYBG, which is located in the greenest borough of them all, the Bronx. And I got into this work from a very early age. I was fortunate enough to grow up in the Garden State, New Jersey, and my parents are both avid gardeners, and I would spend my weekends outside either making fairy houses with twigs or using maple leaves as stencils. And as I grew up, I continued to look for moments I could spend outdoors. And so I went to college in upstate New York, and I studied philosophy with a focus on civic engagement. And that led me to the garden because I was looking for a place where I could use my skills in community engagement and wed it with what I'm really passionate about, which is time outdoors, nature, our natural world.
Now, something that's got to be so interesting over there is because, I mean, like you're saying, coming from New Jersey, the Garden State, and then, upstate New York City, it's very East Coast in the sense of you have these four seasons. You don't have a lot of the micro environments like maybe on the West Coast where we can have a forest, we can have a desert, we can have but the Botanical Garden has all of that in one place. Like you walk around the corner, and next thing you know, you're in a desert. And you walk around another corner, you're in a tropical, jungle kind of a thing, right? So
right. Yes, we have it, but some of ours needs to be maintained under glass.
Yeah.
Unlike, when I go to the Huntington, in LA, and they just have it all outside, basically.
But I mean, that's got to be so cool to kind of see people's response to these almost alien landscapes that you guys have there.
It is. I think, something that's the most special to witness is that a lot of the plants that are in our conservatory, of course, are tropical plants. They come from environments like Central and South America, where a lot of the local community in the Bronx comes from. And so you'll see people come in and they'll see a plant growing, maybe it's one of our cacao trees or, a banana plant of some kind. And they'll say, I grew up with this tree on my version of a city block, and here I am now living in the Bronx. And while the natural environment around me is different, I can step into these different oases within our conservatory and see, these plants from my childhood, but also just for me, as like you said, I'm an East Coaster, and I'd never seen palm trees that were 30 feet high before until I started at this job.
Yeah, so that's so cool. So you got people coming from all around the world, obviously living in New York, and it gives them that location to be able to see a little bit of home where they are now. Mm-hmm. You're saying that, and that's so true because, those, New York being that melting pot of people just coming from all over, I'm sure they lose sight of where they are from, and to be able to kind of see that there and just kind of wander through those areas. Now, how many acres is the Botanical Garden?
We are 250 acres.
Wow.
50 of those acres are our old growth forest, meaning that the work our horticulture team has done in that space is strictly restorative to maintain the, native plants in that area, the sweet gums, the oaks. It's called the Thane family forest, and right now the colors in that space, if any of the listeners are nearby, it's fall foliage season and it's in its peak.
So you're saying that area is if there was no more people living in the Bronx, if there was no buildings, that is the natural landscape that the Bronx would have if it had been not touched, kind of thing. That's what they're trying to restore it to?
Yeah, so what we're working on is not having human intervention in that space. So there's no buildings that you see. But of course, the Thane family forest is this small relic of a time when before the garden, it was founded in 1891. It's on Lenape land. And so, the Lenape people would use, the environment that the garden is on in ways that was more communal with the nature around them. And our sort of area is bisected by the Bronx River, which is the last free-flowing river in all 5 boroughs. And so it's a crazy place to work. One minute, you're standing underneath, maybe 20 different types of orchids, in our conservatory, and the next moment you can be listening to the sound of a river, hitting against rocks and staring up at trees.
Yeah, that must be just so magical. And I mean, what a great spot for people to come and visit, being, situated where it's at with all of the urban development around and, just, all of the, other wonders of New York, but to be situated right there. Now, you guys do a lot of events for people, and, you were telling me that you're actually kind of getting into your almost busiest time of year. You would think like, spring, plants, gardens, but you guys have a lot of fun stuff right ahead of you, right?
Yes. We right now we have our Alice in Wonderland sort of themed exhibition. It's called Wonderland Curious Nature. And, something in the Lewis Carroll novel is this idea of muchness, which I think is how I feel just in general about this season. But right now we're celebrating fall, and we're centering that in our sort of themed activities called Falloween, where NYBG sort of transforms, into your pumpkin headquarters. And we've centered this on the pumpkin, which is this fruit, part of the cucurbit family that grows from a vine and is edible, but is also used for art and display. And so you see that with Adam Bearton, our pumpkin carver of many years, who comes in and does these just phenomenal creations out of pumpkins, which comes to this big celebratory moment in a couple weeks where we receive 3 giant pumpkins from the Great Pumpkin Commonwealth.
Hey, Helena, real quick.
To look up, they're just phenomenal. But they're doing weigh-offs of these giant pumpkins, and they are averaging around 2,000, 2,200 pounds. And Adam gets to carve one of these.
Hey, Helena, real quick, don't want to cut you off too much because it's so exciting to hear, but we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we'll continue chatting with Helena with the New York Botanical Garden.
And more about that huge pumpkin carving as we continue here. We have to take a break. Biz Talk Radio back very quickly here on Facebook Live. Do stay with us. And again, if you're just joining us, it's Garden America. I'm Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox, back with our guest Helena after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. All right, as promised, we are back here on Garden America. Thank you for joining us. Those on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live, as we continue with our guest, Helena. And just prior to the break, Tiger, talking about the gentleman carving those big, huge pumpkins, or pumpkin, as our guest is actually from New York, quite a distance from San Diego, Tiger.
Yeah, and she was just describing the events that they have coming up here, and one of them being this pumpkin carving event. Now, I'm going to post a picture. I think this is, I think, the current photo you guys have, I think, of maybe last year, where it's this monstrous octopus-looking pumpkin attacking other pumpkins. And, I mean, just the creativity behind to be able to do this carving. I mean, this isn't just like my little stencil, triangle eyes and jagged mouth pumpkin. This is extreme here. I mean, how do they do this?
Those kinds of pumpkins are still some of my favorite, and it's the only kind I can carve. But no, the image that you have up it's incredible, and that is one of last year's giants that he carved.
And so, how long do they take to carve these pumpkins?
Oh, I think they would like more time, but Adam was accompanied by another pumpkin carver, Lenny Calvin. And they took 3 days, about 8 hours each day to create what you're looking at.
Good golly.
Gosh.
Yeah, and they did it in the rain, which this year there's less rain, which we're very fortunate.
Oh my gosh. And so obviously, people can come and see that, but at the same time, you have events for people to come and carve their own pumpkin and do other things, right?
Right. We have a class that Adam is teaching with our adult education team at the end of the month on October 20th. But I think, besides pumpkins, which definitely ring in the fall season, we have phenomenal teams, our children's education department and our edible academy, that welcome in families, youth groups, and they do hands-on activities, whether it's, touching the seeds and pulp of a pumpkin, or using different materials to create seed balls to take home and hang up for the local birds to enjoy, or our fall forest weekends, which come in November, where we are so fortunate to showcase the work of our on-site team of scientists, our herbarium, and our library as sort of an open house focusing on all things the forest.
Yeah, and I mean, again, back to kind of like that idea of showing people just things that they've never seen before. I mean, you guys do such a wonderful job of bringing that hands-on element. And you guys even have a kind of sensory hands-on garden as part of the whole Children's Education Expo, correct?
Thank you. And yes, we do. Our Edible Academy, which opened in 2019, is our center for really hands-on learning. To what you were saying earlier, we're in New York City. It's a very urban environment. You don't necessarily walk down the street like I did and encounter a cow farm or corn, 10 feet high. And so there are different beds that are planted at our Edible Academy where they welcome over, 1,000 school children each year who can come in and see, the Brussels sprout that maybe their parent is trying to get them to eat, growing on this incredible stalk, and they get to pick it off and then learn how to cook with it. And I think it's important to understand the world around them. And maybe they go home and they see that tree on the corner of their block and they say, oh, that's a sweet gum tree. I know that now because I just saw them labeled at the New York Botanical Garden. So there is new, but there's also elements of the familiar that we hope to remind people of that they can take home with them when they leave the garden.
Isn't it so cool when you do see children or even adults, and they see something and they grow it and then they eat it, where normally they wouldn't, like you say, like a Brussels sprout or like spinach or asparagus. Most of the time children are like, oh, yuck, I don't want that. But yet if they actually pick it and then they cook it themselves, they're like, ooh, this is good. I like this. I like Brussels sprouts, kind of a thing. It's so funny how that happens. But if you just make it for them and put it in front of their face, no way.
Yeah.
Right. It's nice to literally and figuratively have a hand in the process,
Yeah. So So now, aside from pumpkins, you mentioned the forest, and so it's the changing of the seasons going into the fall. You said, if you were to walk through the forest now, it's starting to, change colors and stuff. And then, do you guys have another series like we in Southern California have this like fall planting or this other fall growth? Is it just all now kind of going asleep for you guys right now, or do you guys have other things that are coming on?
We have collections. We have over 13 living collections, meaning we've sort of dedicated a part of the landscape to showcasing a genus of species or a plant. And so we're very fortunate to have the Benenson conifer collection, which is a beautiful collection of conifers, that they have cones on them, and if we're fortunate enough to have them covered in snow, they really evoke your sort of idea, at least my idea, I think, of a winter wonderland. But our collection, some of them, we've planted. The design of the garden that I really appreciate and admire is that we're sort of showcasing all of these plants in their natural beauty, the way they want to exist. And our native plant garden has plants in it that are both, native, but also plants that are extirpated, meaning they used to exist in this, region, but they no longer naturally do so. And through restorative efforts, they're there. And so that space has plants that are, sure, they might be dormant, but they might have some berries on them, for example, right now, or some nuts, cones, and we move into the winter season. But I think this is where we're leading, and I hope it is. We have our holiday train show, which is our exhibition that is in our conservatory, which is a Victorian-style glass house. And that is our sort of triumph of the winter season, besides the natural landscape.
And, people will say, Christmas trains, but describe what you guys do, because you guys have an organization that actually helps you build some of these like miniature landmarks, right?
Yes. So we are so fortunate to work with Applied Imagination, which is a phenomenal family-run company based in Kentucky. And they have made for us over 150 landmarks that you see throughout New York City. So like the New York Public Library, the Enid A. Hopps Conservatory, Rockefeller Center, Macy's. And they've made these out of plant material, so twigs, bark, nuts, seeds. And it is all in miniature, and we place them, throughout our conservatory against the permanent plantings within that space. And I sort of encourage not just tourists, but even, native New Yorkers or folks coming over from San Diego, who don't have a lot of time in their schedule, to come see this, because you can experience New York in a day. By walking through all these boroughs and seeing their iconic, landmarks that then speak to the people that make New York culture so rich. And it opens on November 16th, and it closes in the third week of January 20th.
And for I did post another link to show some images of what she's describing, and I don't know how to. It's way better than what I'm describing, but people here in Southern California, they can go to like Legoland, and where they'll see New York built out of Legos, or something like that. But imagine this is built out of natural products, like you're saying, sticks and twigs and pine cones and all this other stuff, and they make this train system go through it where they can kind of go and visit all these other parts of the city. And what a wonderful exhibit to be able to go to, and it puts it in a magical place. Hey, Helena, we're going to have to take another quick break. When we get back, we'll continue chatting about the New York Botanical Gardens, what they do and what they have to offer. So keep listening. We'll be right back.
Right, and do stay with us, obviously. Those on Biz Talk Radio want to tune in live and take part. you can go to our Facebook page every Saturday morning, 8 o'clock on the West Coast, 11 o'clock Eastern Time Zone, and to interact with us, questions, comments, be right there live with us. We do appreciate you listening to this pre-recorded show. The rest of us on Facebook Live, we are going to take a break, and including Biz Talk Radio. Do stay with us as we continue. This is Garden America. Garden America, we are back after that break, and for those of you that are tuned in on Biz Talk Radio, this is the final segment of hour number 1. News coming up top of the hour. We come back hour 2 at 6 minutes after. In the meantime, we continue, Tiger, with Helena and some great information and a lot of fun happening in New York.
Hey, so we had a wonderful question come over via our chat, Helena, and it's, do you guys have anything that people can do kind of virtually from the standpoint of, they're not in New York, to be able to attend any of these events? Do you guys have any kind of like webinars or broadcasts or anything like that people can attend online?
Oh, yes. It's a big part of our website that I'm really proud of how much digital interaction there is. So if you're interested in taking a class, our adult education team has classes that are online. They are go at your own pace. They're video topics that you can watch. Members of NYBG teach you how to do, plantings or orchid care. We also do have our symposiums and lectures that are recorded on our website as well as on YouTube. And we have a wonderful new podcast featuring our host, our CEO, Jennifer Bernstein, called Plant People, where she interviews folks at NYBG and other partnering organizations and experts in the field on a myriad topics all across plants and science. So do visit our website. It's www.nybg.org.
Yeah, and it sounds like, you guys shouldn't just be the New York Botanical Garden anymore. It's like the worldwide Botanical Garden. You guys
I think we are very proud of what we have, but I think we're also more proud to be a part of of a rich culture of botanic gardens, not just in the U.S., but across the world. And I think a fun way of showing that interaction, and this is another plug for something online, is our library and our herbarium have created this sort of mammoth effort of getting our collections digitized. And so you can go through and use them for your own research, or if you just want to look at a beautiful image or perhaps dip your toe into a certain topic. And that sort of research is something that we're proud to do across other organizations throughout the world.
And so, kind of we've talked about a lot of fun things that people can go and get inspiration ideas, but you guys also do a lot of conservation and, there's actually a scientific aspect of it, right?
Yes, it is our mission, is to be an advocate for the plant world, and we could not do that without science. So we have a terrific team of scientists on staff. We also have a PhD program that's in partnership with Lehman College and certificate programs for our School of Professional Horticulture and young aspiring horticulturalists. But we also, about 2 years ago, created a new department at the garden. It's urban conservation, and its vice president is Eric Sanderson, who is the author of the book Mannahatta, which might be familiar to some of the listeners. And so while we've been doing this work since our founding, you're seeing this sort of continued emphasis on how to make sure that we are naturing our city, so working with nature and with our urban environment as opposed to against.
Yeah, lots of fun and great things happening there. So I posted a bunch of links for people to be able to kind of go on there. There's also great ways, as she said, to be able to kind of interact online, donate online for different things, find out a lot more of the research. You guys do such a wonderful job of sharing all that information via your website. Helena, thank you very much for joining us this morning. What a blast. What an enjoyable interview to learn a lot about what you guys do. And I hope that people got the, inspiration from your words, because, these photos that I posted obviously are just amazing for what you do, but, you have such a passion for it. So thanks for joining us.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I great to talk with you.
Yeah, have a great rest of the weekend.
Thanks, you too. Take care.
Bye. John, why don't you work at like a botanical garden? You know what I mean? Like your house is a botanical garden.
That's why. That's why.
Because you got enough. You need to have a train show go through your roses.
What you need is people.
Yeah, you do need people, that's for sure.
You need to set up your own 501(c) and just have people coming through.
I don't know if our listeners are aware of this, but I think certainly one of the best horticultural references ever created is called the New York Botanical Garden Illustrated Encyclopedia of Horticulture.
Really?
And I think it's 10 volumes.
Uh-huh.
And when each volume came out, Thomas Everett, I think, used to be the director. I'm not sure. But anyway, he's the one who put this together. When it came out, each volume was $100 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like $1,000 now.
Yeah, that was just 2 years ago.
Well, no, now they're like, I just saw one volume for $18.48.
No, but what I'm saying is back in the day, with taking inflation into consideration, back then $100. Wow.
Yeah, but I was just thinking while she was talking, all the information in there is not online.
Oh, yeah?
You know, it's so thorough that anybody who still flips pages in books, I'd recommend you go and start collecting that.
So it was an encyclopedia for the plants that were at the garden, the botanical garden, or just in all plants?
The whole world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they would have to add a few since then, right? As we continue to discover.
Yeah.
Which you could do online, but this is printed.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of great information in there. I'll have to bring one in sometime, maybe when we're at my house, we'll look at it.
Yeah. You have all volumes, right?
I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Of course he does. Have you not seen
right. What a dumb question.
Of course I do.
No, I just have the second volume.
Yeah.
Tiger Gina says that she's feeling inspired.
All right.
Ask her how she likes all the fog.
She lives in the perfect area for that kind of idea too, where they have seasons and things change, and you can do fun stuff in the garden, as the fall happens.
We have clouds.
Yeah. We have clouds.
We have wind now and then.
Oh, goodness.
Occasional fog in the morning.
I was just thinking Judy Collins.
What do you want? Would you bows and flows of rainbow hair and ice cream castles in the air? Feather crayons everywhere. I looked at Love That Way.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It just, let me tell you, when you're young, it gets into your psyche. You don't forget.
Yeah.
Not for me. I don't know any of that stuff.
She's looked at clouds from both sides.
Both sides. Yeah. But now, wait a second. Not necessarily knowing that, because that was way before your time.
Right.
But go back to the 80s and 90s. No. Nothing sunk in.
No, I was not a huge. See, my sister used to sit in her room and just listen to music, and I don't know what else she did. Right. I was, and I'm not trying to say I was just different. I just was outside riding a bike.
That was good.
I didn't know music. I didn't know shows because
we got to take a break.
I couldn't sit down and watch a show.
I don't want to cut this off because this is good. I want to pick this up on the other side. Got to take a break. Running late but sounding great. News coming up, top of the hour, Biz Talk Radio. Facebook Live, Biz Talk Radio coming back momentarily. Do stay with us. All right, welcome back. Those on Biz Talk Radio, if you're just joining us for hour number 2, welcome. If by some miracle, some chance you heard hour number 1 and you're back with hour 2, we appreciate that as well. Tiger was talking about a very disappointing childhood he had, holed up in his room.
Exactly.
Never went outside and read magazines. But you were out. But you know what? Good for you, because you were outside playing. You were doing the things that we did as youngsters.
Yeah.
And you weren't tied up in your room, playing a video game or something.
He was contemplating the Burbank paradox.
Yeah,
exactly.
at that early stage.
Yeah, exactly. Who knew?
But you know music now. You probably you can't help but hear it. Here and there, but you didn't study it.
No, and I can't memorize songs. Like if you were to tell me, I don't know one song from start to finish
what
that
about
I can just.
Baby Shark.
I think it's just Baby Shark. Da 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 da. Okay.
See, you know that whole song.
Good.
But I wonder if it was the era that you grew up in, because, and again, I'm younger than John, but there was this massive energy of music and a culture change. People born in the 40s were the rock stars of the 60s because they were in their 20s.
Yeah.
And there was a social paradigm switch, John, or just things clicked and changed from the World War II generation to the kids of the 60s and 70s. And music was such a huge part of so many lives. Could you put it any differently, John? I mean,
I could.
But we don't have time, and this is a garden show.
Right. By the way, we get a nice comment from Danny in Northern California.
Yeah, thank you, Danny.
Yeah, it's thanking us for our great show.
We try.
He said it's a beautiful start to their Saturday morning in Northern California.
You know, my beautiful start to a Saturday morning, just to tell you how times have changed, was Captain Kangaroo. His is Garden America.
Oh, Captain Kangaroo.
Sherry's saying hello from El Cajon, so sounds like she's back.
Wow. I want to know, Sherry,
South
I want to know
Africa.
how long that plane ride was.
Oh, wow.
From San Diego to South Africa, what, 23 hours maybe?
Do you go the East Coast and then to Germany and then South Africa?
Well, no, I think you could go from here to New York and then right down to South Africa.
Straight from New York to...
I mean, you could.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? You're going south.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's different ways to get there. There's probably nonstop, and there's probably a stop here and there. So we'd like your itinerary, Sherry. She says 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That means 48 hours total, John, right? There and back?
Yeah. 2 days of travel.
2 days of travel.
I don't think you crossed the international date line, right?
No, not going there. I'm anxious to see what she brought back for us. We'll have to arrange. Sherry, next week we can have you in studio.
Yeah, to bring the gifts.
Yeah, we can collect our gifts, which was very nice of her. She didn't have to do that. She didn't have to do that. But
you sound like my kid. I come home from a trip. What'd you get for me?
You know what? When Dana goes to the store, I go, bring me back a surprise every time.
Bring you like a Matchbox car?
Exactly.
So I guess what Brian's saying, Sherry, is he wants to know if his present is still alive.
San Diego to Dallas, Dallas to Qatar, Qatar to Cape Town.
Oh, wow. That is far.
I want to know, Sherry, go ahead.
It's so funny that we're like, oh, my God, that's so far, so much time travel, all this. But yet, only 30 years ago, that trip would have taken, even longer. And then, think back like 70 years ago.
Well, think back to 1490.
Exactly.
By ship.
Exactly.
You're talking months and months.
Yeah.
And I bet she didn't have to worry about scurvy either.
No. Yeah.
I don't think it took as long as you're thinking back then, because 1490, you would have just been going from Europe to Africa, right?
No, well, he came over here. He crossed
None of
the
the
Atlantic.
Native Americans were making trips to South Africa.
No, but the
to go on
explorers,
safari.
The explorers
go
did
back.
circumvent the world to a great degree, and you were gone for months, if not years at a time.
You're a big fan of circumvention.
I am big. You betcha. I'm all about 24,000 miles at the equator around the Earth.
Is that what it is? The distance?
I thought it was 25.
Generally speaking, 24, 25.
24, 25.
I'm good in geography. I can point. Ever since I was a kid, I loved globes.
And isn't
I was like Bruce Asakaba. We both loved maps. He'd always say, I love maps. Do you like maps? Like, I love maps.
It's so cool. Like, we talk about like the landscapes and how, on those bands, they have the similar landscapes. And then as you kind of get away from the equator and, all of that, like it's just a fascinating idea of how cultures and climates can be so similar, but yet so far away.
We're a Mediterranean climate here.
That's what I'm saying. Like we're very similar, but then we're completely opposite ends of the globe.
You're a big latitude, longitude guy, aren't you?
Yeah. No, I'm a longitude. That's
okay.
Latitude.
Latitude is.
Yeah, I'm not a huge longitudinal guy.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I garden, I need a latitude adjustment.
Oh yeah. Why not? I mean, I think we all do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Malaria. Just malaria. It was well worth it. Would do it again in a heartbeat. Okay, so malaria.
Was that Sherigan?
Yeah.
Do they still have it's like a big pill for the malaria pill, right? Because you have to take it to go. Like you have
back in the day, you talked about travel. You had to get shots if you're going to Europe.
Yeah.
Remember, like, you're going to travel overseas. You got to get your shots.
Yeah, and you have to take these. I think they're pills to go to malaria. And I think my parents went not too long ago, and they're substantial sized pills that you have to take for malaria.
Horse pills, we call them. I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
what do you have for us, John? The sounds of silence.
No,
just no questions. A lot of nice comments.
Yeah, thank you. By the way, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Every
we
now and
didn't
then
say hello to Hastam yet.
You know what?
He joined us at the beginning of the show.
He's a very dedicated listener,
Yeah.
as everyone is, but all the way from Pakistan. We appreciate that.
I really wish that, I don't know if Hastam is still listening, but if you are Hastam, I'd love for you to send me some pictures to put in our newsletter.
Oh, please.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of different climates.
Yeah.
We'd love that. John at gardenamerica.com. Okay, question from Sherry. Are Wistonia winter or spring bulbs?
Or what?
Watsonia?
Watsonia, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, I was going to say.
I got you. 3 off.
I'm not reading it, but I'm assuming.
You plant them, I don't know if they even come in this. Can you still get those in the stores now?
No, not very. But you plant them they come in with the spring, right?
Well, they bloom in the spring, so yeah, I think you would plant them just like glads, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you could put them in the fall and let them come up.
Yeah, but you put them in.
Carla gave, I don't know, did you guys take any of the Watsonia bulbs that Carla gave us?
No.
But anyway, I planted those, and they kind of go dormant in the heat during the summer, die down, and then come back up in the spring, and they're fantastic. I really like them. And there's a lot of different colors. Normally you see white, but the ones she gave me were kind of a rosy pink, as I recall.
I'm trying to think if I got some of those. You've given me a bunch of different kind of bulbs over the years. I plant them in areas of the garden, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, hey, there's a bulb there.
You forgot about them.
And they come up.
You know what? I started putting flags.
Did you?
Where?
That's a good idea.
Like where the Brunsvigia, I put that in the ground.
Yeah.
But is yours dormant right now?
Yes.
Okay, so when it's in the ground and you're digging, you don't want to slice into those, right?
Although I did just see it the other day because it was under some plants and I cleared out and I was like, oh, hey, forgot about that. Because I did see a little emerging of some the old growth. Speaking of bulbs, so I was at a property in El Cajon a few weeks back, and this lady was talking to me about wanting to clear out this area and some weeds and plant some plants and all this stuff. And it's kind of afar. It wasn't exactly close to where we were standing. And
does she have a big back property, back 40?
Yeah, but it was like up a slope. So we were looking up at it.
Wow.
And there was this bright pink, like that Post-it note pink that you have right there. Up there, and I thought it was, you know how like when you see construction tape or marker tape and it's bright pink tape.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was just some trash up there. So I walked up there later after we had talked. I got up there and they were naked ladies. You know those bulbs where it's just the stem and then the bright pink flower. And they were just up there all alone, nothing else.
Nothing
just
around
weeds, just weeds, and then those. And I was like, whoa, those are very hardy.
How about doing the whole slope like that? At night, you'd be able to see.
Yeah, exactly. I just was very impressed that they were surviving on their own out there.
All right, go ahead. I know where this is leading.
No, I'm not even going to say it.
Hold on. You know what? Stop, because we have a break coming up.
Okay. I'm not going to say it anyway.
Well, then you check. You don't have the comments, do you?
No, I haven't looked. Was it on my bulb? Because it's the name of the bulb. Okay.
We're going to take a break.
Sherry, by the way, said there were peach and pink Watsonias all over the Cape when she was in South Africa.
Peach? Huh?
We're going to take a break. We have 3 more segments to go. Here, Facebook Live, questions, comments, keep them coming here on Garden America. All right, we have returned from the break. John's interpretation of what I said about lighting up the whole slope at night was a little different, thinking that these were naked ladies, right?
The bulbs.
The bulbs.
Right.
Amaryllis belladonna.
Right. Okay. Well, belladonna, I got you. Okay.
Yeah. You can't get away from it.
Pretty Woman.
Now, I was talking about
that was the original title for the Richard Gere movie was Belladonna.
I was talking about the group Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was talking about.
I don't think they're around anymore.
Oh, yeah. They're all around. It's whether they're popular or they still play or not.
Hey, here's a really important question.
All right.
All right.
The question is, someone has a birthday next week. Does anyone have ideas to get the gardener who has everything?
How old are you going to be, Tiger?
It's from Gina.
Yeah, we know. October
16th.
Usually, you know what? You're really like, he's all like birthday. Where most years he's like on the down low.
Yeah.
Now he's all excited.
Yeah.
This is the big one.
Yeah,
62.
I'm not a big birthday guy.
I was going to say
62.
62.
62. Looking good at 62.
We've talked about this before, though, because one of the best gifts to get a gardener is like potting soil or something. You know what I mean? Like a good potting soil that they sometimes don't splurge on themselves for. That'd be like getting a good
I would love
chef.
Just one pallet.
Just exactly.
You know what? Speaking of
pallet.
when you give me potting soil, which you have in the past, I usually use it like if I have something new to transplant or something.
John hoards is like a fine wine.
I do.
I realize though that I've got a lot of pots and roses that, gosh, this is like
empty.
This is like admitting that, you need help, and maybe I do. I realized in a lot of my potted plants, I haven't changed that soil in a long time.
Well, you don't need to change it. Is it still there?
Yeah, and the plants are still thriving.
That's a great question for him because we know that soil disappears for him.
It does disappear. In fact, I've got a few pots that it's getting a little low. But I just thought, I'm fertilizing, I'm feeding. Everything seems to be, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But I should freshen it up a little bit because some of the soil's not as good as the ocean forest or even the happy frog.
Yeah.
Lila has a question. Have we heard any news about our next trip?
Yes, Pasadena.
Well, we did finally hear back from
Matthew
at Earthbound Expeditions, and he wasn't able to coordinate the trip because
of personal things going on.
Health in the family. Right. And we understand, family is more important than anything. So rather than taking an international trip, we are thinking of putting together a trip the first week in March, end of February, first week in March. And we will have more information on that next week. And actually, I'm glad Sherry's back from South Africa because I'm going to talk to her about it.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll have an idea next week.
And to go where now?
Well, we're not going to say.
Okay.
Because what's the point?
Because I almost blew it. I was going to say, aren't you going to tell us, John? But we know what you're talking about.
We have to organize more before we put things out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And look at Sherry. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not back to South Africa. Don't worry, Sherry.
Now that you've been there, Sherry, I'm sure you can organize the itinerary to South Africa.
Exactly. Oh. So back to kind of like so is there something you do every year in the fall for your patio?
Yes.
Like trimming something back or
trimming.
But like every fall you do this?
No. I'm not so structured. I'm more like, what's going on out there? What needs to be done? Whatever time of year it was.
I always do a hard clean out right after it gets like I know it's going to get cool in November.
Yeah.
And so I always kind of the first 2 weeks of November I focus on cleaning out the yard because then I feel I put a lot of work in sometimes before it gets cool. And then it gets hot, and I just get disappointed with my, labor and everything. But as soon as it gets cool and the garden starts to cool off, I always go out there and just cut things back, clean things out, do all that.
We used to have a huge eucalyptus tree right to the left of the front door, which is no longer there, which I'm so happy because that would drop every day. That would drop. I mean, just that patio was such a mess, and they finally pulled it out.
That's the thing about fast-growing plants. Is they're always dropping something. Usually the faster growing, the messier.
More messy.
Yeah, because the faster it grows, the more you've got to get rid of the old. When you're slow, you can just kind of lumber.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't going to get that technical.
I took John makes a point. I take off with it.
In lumber wood?
Gina, I should say a listener, wanted to remind me my son was getting married the first week in March, and yes, I understand. And all three of us may not go on the trip. It might be one or two of us.
We may just send everybody there, and we'll just come back and tell us how you liked it.
Right. Or one of us may come back earlier. But yes, I know. And
I love her first comment. It says, Your son is getting in March. Don't forget. And then later on, married. I thought it was like he was. Never mind.
I hope that Tasia and I have the same relationship that you and Gina have.
You will.
I love yours and Gina's relationship.
Not right away when she's older.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I just, I enjoy watching.
Did
you
ever go through a stage like maybe late grade school, junior high, where if you went out with your parents shopping, you were embarrassed to see one of your friends because you were with your mom?
Oh yeah.
Then you're
just embarrassed of everything for some reason.
Yeah, I remember like being out maybe 7th, 8th grade, and you'd be with your mom on a weekend or something. You'd see like one of your school friends, and you'd hide behind the clothes or whatever because I'm with my mom. I don't want you to see me.
I think I was just embarrassed to be seen in public.
That's what I'm saying.
In general.
Like, I think we were just embarrassed in general.
Hey, Tiger, Rick has a question for you.
Alrighty.
Rick in Star, Idaho. He says he has a bank in his backyard.
Wow, really? How much money's in there? I'd like to see what that bank looks like.
And he thinks that that pocket gophers have taken up residence. Now, I didn't know
gophers or squirrels.
Well, he says gophers. But I didn't know they had gophers in
Idaho. Yeah, I mean.
But anyway, he wants to know how to get rid of them.
Why are you asking me? You're the gopher expert.
Well, wait a minute. Do we know for sure it's a gopher?
Yeah. I love how you led that with Tiger. He's got a question for you. When you're the one with the running tally of 65 gophers.
But you brag about how much you know about the state of Idaho. You're always talking about Idaho and how much.
It's always Boise.
Boise
this, that.
Potatoes this, potatoes that.
What are they, the Broncos? Isn't that the Boise?
Oh, the college football team?
Yeah. Aren't they a Bronco?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, with the blue field.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if they're gophers, though,
I thought that you would just give some general hints on how to get rid of gophers.
Well, wouldn't just a have a heart trap just kind of solve everyone's problem?
Not for the
can't
gophers.
Use have a heart on gophers.
Why not?
You're crazy, man.
See how much I know about gophers?
Yeah, exactly.
How would you use a have a heart trap?
You dig a huge trench.
And hope that they come through their tunnel and fall in the trench.
Exactly. What was the one trap though? I guess the one you use where
I use a gopher hawk.
Either way they come or go.
Oh, that's a Maccabee
trap. So either way they're going to get trapped. Oh, can I tell you why Kevin didn't bring you that trap?
The gopher hawk.
Yeah, because as they were getting ready to go, Terry, his wife, said, "We can't bring this on the plane. We're not going to put this through TSA. What is this? This is."
Did they only do carry on?
Yeah, it was just like
you can put it in your
check
bag.
I just
check
thought
bag.
And then Gina, this is what I thought. Gina said there could be voles.
Yeah.
Voles would be be different.
Yeah. But so I mean, we can address the three because gophers.
I'm sorry. Look, I'm running late again. My gosh, I'm going to have so much editing to do on Monday. We got to take a break. I'm sorry, my bad here. For Biz Talk Radio, 2 more segments coming up. Do stay with us. And we are back. Quick like a bunny, quick like a gopher, a vole, you name it. 2 more segments coming up here on Garden America. If you're just joining us, welcome. I'm trying to stay on time for the network. So on Monday, I'll have some editing to do. But right now, you're getting the whole thing. So no doubt about that. Kevin says, I wanted to bring a gopher hawk to SD, but figured it would get confiscated as a weapon. That's our buddy Kevin.
Definitely is.
Well, I'm sure they would take a look at it, but.
Yeah. Tanya in San Jose says she wonders if there was any word on Top Tropicals nursery was doing.
I did not.
Because
she quit, right?
No, she was in the path of destruction.
You're thinking of
Annie's annuals, but you're talking about the hurricane possible destruction. Now, we're exactly in Florida.
Fort Myers.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Now, I did hear that they were somewhat not hit. Fort Myers.
It was west coast of Florida, Tampa Bay, right?
Because they were originally talking it was going to barrel down right on Fort Myers, right?
But I guess, I mean, they got hit, but I guess it wasn't as bad as they thought it was going to be right there.
I saw some videos of talking to John before you got here, Tiger, that a lot of that destruction were the tornadoes that developed and flattened neighbor. I mean, just destruction. There's nothing left.
Before the storm. Even.
Right, exactly.
Can you imagine you get hit with this tornado right before a storm, then comes along and falls?
Well, I thought the tornadoes were at the front of the hurricane.
That's what I'm saying.
They generated the tornadoes, right? The winds.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. You get hit by a tornado, and then
comes the hurricane.
A day later, this hurricane goes over you. Like, that's horrible.
Well, that would kind of clean everything up. All the destruction the tornadoes cause.
Throw it into the river and
just blow
it away.
Yeah, anyway, our thoughts and prayers do go out to all the people back east, especially from the first one, Hurricane Helene, right?
Then you got Milton.
Yeah, Milton I don't think was as bad as Helene.
It seemed
over a wide area.
It seemed like it was a Category 5, then down to a 3, then a 4, and it varied.
Yeah. All right.
Go ahead.
Voles, moles, squirrels. All right. So, gophers. So we talked gophers, the gopher hawk or different Maccabee trap, different things that are proven to use against those. Squirrels, I don't think it's have a heart, but there is a trap.
There is a have a heart trap for squirrels.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm thinking about that one that's a square and they just go in, then you flood it. Is that a have a heart? That's not a have a heart.
No, because that's
no
not
heart
that
involved.
is no heart at all. That's not having a heart.
Yeah. So the one squirrel trap is it's a big square and it has these entrances and you put bait in it and they basically can go in this trap.
Sunflower seeds.
Is that what
They're
they use?
Suckers for sunflower seeds.
And they go into this trap and they can't get out. And so, and the way that this trap is designed is you lift up, you can get, I don't know, I've seen them pictures with 20 squirrels in it before, where you take that trap and you just put it in this pan of water.
20 might be a little bit of an exaggeration. But I did get 5 at once.
Oh, there you go.
You know what? It's a good story. Leave them alone.
Yeah. But like you flood it and you can kill them because you're really not supposed to release these creatures or rodents. A lot of people say, "Oh, just take them out into the woods
areas where they don't belong."
You release them. Yeah, you're really not supposed to do that. But
Rick says that apparently there's 3 species of pocket gophers in southern and eastern parts of the state.
Yeah, so I definitely feel like a lot of hillsides are plagued by squirrels, and those kind of creatures. But so now voles and moles though are also a little bit different, where they're you can't use the different traps like we talked about. You can't use the gopher hawk on them. A lot of those ones are more like poison-based applications. So using more baits and poisons to get them. Now, I have seen, and I'm sure this is something they probably have in Idaho, definitely not in California, but Arizona and the Idaho places is where you'll see like them put gas, like a propane gas into the holes. And they just light it on fire.
Those were the rhodonators.
And they blow up all the tunnels. So,
that company went out of business, so you can't,
I wonder
get
why.
those anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
What's Timmy out there doing? Landscaping, Mom. Getting rid of some pests.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, if they are pocket gophers, Rick, it might be best to get the have a heart trap. Or, I'm sorry, not the have a heart trap, the Maccabee trap.
Maccabee trap.
Right. Because then you'll know you've got it, but you can only use the Maccabee trap if you can find the tunnel.
Yeah.
So you might get a shovel, go out there and dig around a little bit and see if you find a tunnel.
Yeah.
Carla's got a question, John.
You see it?
Or if you're going up to Coeur d'Alene, you can contact Kevin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he'll set
you up. See if you can borrow his gopher hawk. Tanya says that they have so many squirrels. There's 3 walnut trees in the yard behind us that they love, and they're tearing up their new lawn. Do you know that squirrels pretty much devastated the San Jose Heritage Rose Garden? Destroyed it. Took it from a world-class garden to it was removed from the list as being recommended as a garden to go see.
Because of squirrels?
Yeah, and they won't allow them. They used to trap them and poison them, and they're not allowed to do that anymore. So they're just running rampant. And right next to the garden is a little walnut grove. So the squirrels.
So the incentive would be to come see the squirrels, and there's a few,
some roses
bits of
might be
landscaping
coming
around
up here and there. Yeah, that's sad.
Carla.
Oh,
Carla. Yeah,
Carla's the flower seeds for the fall. So what seeds besides, what did she?
Besides sweet peas.
Besides sweet peas.
And by the way, that's a good reminder for people in Southern California.
Yeah.
Plant your sweet peas now. If you're in colder climates, you can wait till spring.
Right.
But in Southern California, October's the month to plant sweet peas.
Yeah.
Because the root system develops over the winter, and then they come up and bloom in the spring before it gets hot. If you plant them in the spring, by the time they're ready to bloom,
It's too late.
hot.
Yeah, I was going to say they come up, but
Yeah.
then they don't bloom. Yeah.
Or they bloom and they just burn.
Yeah. But as far as what else right now in the fall, I mean, you'd be doing, I don't know if there's a lot of other ones that come up in the spring that you plant in the fall. A lot of the ones that you're going to do in the fall are still going to, for Southern California, they're going to come up right now. So,
You can put perennials, seeds in the ground right now, and they'll come up in the spring.
So some of the salvias, perennial salvias?
Yeah, salvias, delphiniums.
Delphiniums.
That kind of stuff. But things that are going to come up and bloom that you would plant from seed, calendula maybe, right?
Yep.
They'll come up quick.
Snapdragons, pansies, viola.
Yeah.
All those ones are going to come up. But yeah, I guess the perennial ones would be the ones that you would plant now for the spring.
And then I was surprised yesterday that I saw some California poppies blooming.
Yeah. Every once in a while, those ones are funny. They'll come up randomly in my yard.
Those are the ones your son planted.
Yeah, yeah. But they just
didn't plant California poppies.
What did he
He
plant?
did.
He
He
threw
planted
seeds, right? He just kind of threw
Yeah,
them.
no, remember he planted them all in like one hole.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know those were California
Yeah.
poppies. I
But
thought-
yeah, so those will just come up not in any real season. You know what I mean?
Just whatever,
It's a weird plant that will do that sometimes, where it's not the season for it,
And
but
all
they'll
of a sudden,
come up.
yeah.
So yeah, they'll do that.
Paula wants to know when to plant Alyssa. That's another thing you can put down, right?
Oh yeah.
You only have to do it once.
But that is a sad thing with today's world is, when you buy alyssum, look at the ones that you buy because, like John said, the original alyssum you buy once and you'll never get rid of it.
Naturalizes, yeah.
Right. But nowadays they have a lot of varieties that they plant and some they don't come back, which is a bit of a sad. I always liked how alyssum just found nooks and crannies to fill in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was never hard to get rid of, so it didn't bother me.
I don't know about not being hard to get rid of.
But that was part of your seed mix on your hillside, wasn't it? Didn't you have a whole bunch come up?
Yes.
And I don't feel like I don't see it at your house that much anymore. Do you still have a lot?
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
How good's your Wi-Fi? How far from the house does your Wi-Fi? I'm already
My
thinking
Wi-Fi's
about.
fine. How's yours?
How's your wife? How's your Wi-Fi?
How's your wife? I'm just thinking about taking the roving camera out and around how far out we could go and still have a good connection.
I don't think it's so much. I guess maybe it is the Wi-Fi, but it's also the cameras with the tablet. How far they can get away from each other.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, take the
maybe if
tablet
you
with
come
you.
out early, you kind of check it out.
Well, we're going to spend the night. We're going to come up the night before.
Okay.
Make sure we're there bright and early. Get all set up. Be ready to go.
We only have a 2-bedroom house, so you and Tiger will have to share the guest room if that's all right.
Hey,
Again?
yeah.
Well, it's a queen size bed. That's the only thing that concerns me.
Not too big.
Oh goodness, you guys. So did we answer all the questions? I feel like there was another one, but I missed it. So we got off topic.
Well, this is.
The gum? Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not, but I've never tried it, so I can't say for sure. It's kind of one of those tales that gets passed around. But Linda says that her husband uses juicy fruit gum.
Oh yeah,
to
I've heard
get
that
rid of
before.
the gophers. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say it.
Some people use Bazooka Joe. So Kevin says that they used to use seaweed fertilizer and a baking soda mixture to soak garlic bulbs to produce large and healthy garlic. Go figure.
Really? I mean, I don't know.
Well,
the
exactly.
baking
It's like we're
soda,
talking about certain
maybe disease, but
certain things
seaweed
people use that
makes sense.
others don't, and vice versa. Some work and some don't.
But I mean, a lot of it just has to do with just the effort. Sometimes doing something.
Running
You
late
know what I
again.
mean?
Got to take a break. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this.
It's always when I'm talking.
I got
Is it
so
just
much work
me?
to do on Monday.
Is it just me?
Back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. All right, folks, we're back, and we're going to try to stay on time. It's our final segment. 7 minutes and 48 seconds is what we have to deal with here. So there you go.
We have a couple things that what were we talking about? I got distracted with, do you put it in chewed
or out of the pack, the gum, and
Yeah.
before that,
there was something.
we were all over the place.
What was that? I was saying something. But do you know the way they tell you to use the juicy fruit gum?
Yeah,
I've heard it. I've heard it before, but I don't know the process. Like, do you chop up little pieces and just drop it in the tunnel? Do you like she's saying? Do you chew it and throw it in there?
Yeah.
Do you just throw a pack in there? Like, and how does it kill the gopher?
Well, Linda's going to have to let us know.
Yeah, I don't know.
They probably swallow. Do they swallow? I don't know. That's a good question.
You know, that was the other thing is
when you're a kid,
if you swallow your gum, it's going to be in your stomach forever.
Yeah, it never comes out.
Well, worse than that is swallowing watermelon seeds.
Yes.
Wasn't that used as a euphemism when we were kids?
I remember someone saying, "Don't stick seeds up your nose because they'll sprout."
I had a
because
cousin
it's moisture.
who, when he was like 3 years old, they saw him sitting in the kitchen and he was stuffing dried peas up his nose, and they had to take him to the hospital, and they found it was like 18 peas that he had stuck up his nose.
Wow.
And then they swell, once they get in there.
Okay, so juicy fruit gum contains a unique chemical, geraniol, which is highly potent insect repellent. It is discovered that gophers are particularly sensitive to the smell, and it has been used as an effective deterrent to keep gophers out of your property. Studies have shown that placing juicy fruit gum in gopher tunnels can effectively repel gophers from the area. Is highly volatile and can spread into the soil and air. The geraniol and air, creating a pervasive scent that gophers find distasteful and try to avoid. So it's a repellent.
How do you spell that?
I like the fact that it's a particular
Is
gum.
it geraniol?
Geraniol.
Isn't that what's also in geranium?
Like gerania, like the scented geraniums, they tell you to plant those to keep critters out of there too.
Or mosquitoes.
Yes.
Mosquito plants.
Mosquitoes.
Yeah.
But it's got to be juicy fruit because that's the only gum or whatever that has that ingredient.
And then the other thing too is, a lot of these companies change their formulations throughout time. And so who even knows if juicy fruit has geraniol?
I thought the reason it killed gophers is because they can't chew gum and walk at the same time. So they're stuck in the same place.
They're just constantly.
Well, now, this is going to be hard because Linda says that you fold a piece of juicy fruit over and then put it in the tunnel and poke it down with a stick. Don't touch it with your fingers.
Well, it's just the whole idea that you want to just, it sounds like you're just getting the product in without disturbing it. So definitely don't chew it.
But how do you do it without handling with your fingers? You have to be...
But I think that comes from the idea
a lot of dexterity with your toes to put that in there.
What is it?
You don't want to get your scent on it.
I was going to say human contact.
Yes.
Is that what it is?
But I don't think that would be from what I've read, and this is from a gopher and vole company that I got this statement from. So, if
I'm going to go buy a pack of juicy fruit gum
and see.
You know what? Why not?
Yeah. That's what I'm doing. It's exactly my thought. Why not?
Why not? Because people are saying it doesn't work. It's fake news. It's an urban legend. No, it really works. So, John, this week, because you'll come back and report next week to see how well it works. Sherry says use gloves.
Oh, she's always so practical.
But you know what? If it did work, would actually be a pretty cost-effective and good thing to do. Then is whenever you plant a rose, put that in the hole.
There.
Put that in the hole because it's just a repellent. So which means that as that root system grows, it's going to carry that repellent through it. So when the gopher comes to that rose, you should do that. You should take some sacrificial roses.
Well, I wonder if you could get some geraniol and put that. Are they
you
concentrated?
Just buy geraniol.
Well, is gum cheaper? That's the whole thing.
Well, yeah, but if you've got the concentrate, it's obviously going to go a lot further.
Yeah, you can buy geraniol.
Yeah.
8 ounce, $61 for 8 ounce jar of it.
Yeah, but maybe you don't need as much, right?
Right, just like you put like a little dropper.
Right.
But it kind of sounds like to me that if that's an effective repellent, you put it at the base of the hole,
right,
and then you protect. And if it's a chemical, it might last in the soil for a while, which means that it just is always there.
We'll have to read up on that.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Don't read.
Who was it that
read.
used to advertise with us? The Deer Scram guy had a product called Gopher Scram.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think.
Rabbit Scram.
I know it had castor oil in it, but I wonder if it might have had some of this in it too.
Was garlic? Did anything have garlic in it?
It always had garlic in
Gar-
it.
garlic
I
is
feel like
yeah.
all of his products
they throw
had garlic
in there,
it.
some onions and sauteed
Yeah.
butter.
Well, our friend Tony Aaron used to have garlic in his products. Remember, Enviropel?
Mm-hmm.
I think I found maybe it wasn't Enviropel. In my garage, I found a bottle of liquid rototiller. Do you remember that?
Wow. Yes, I do.
You know what I also have? Do you remember the guy at...
By the way, 1 minute so I can keep us on track.
Okay, the guy from Alabama that had the...
Oh, yeah, the freeze proof.
Yeah, I found like 20 bottles of freeze proof if you want one for this winter.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Go for Scram. Clove oil, garlic oil, linseed oil, rosemary oil, cinnamon oil, dried blood, and castor oil. And it was mixed in.
But who's dried blood?
That's a great question. You never know. Peanut hulls, were in fish oil and casein.
Oh, so you can fertilize at the same time.
Yeah. But if you're allergic to peanuts, don't.
All right, we got to get ready to go. I got to stay on time here. I got a lot of editing on Monday to do for the network. And they're listening going, this show sounds good to me. You're on time. That's prior to editing. Hey, thank you for joining us. We had a good time. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you for the questions, the comments, those on Biz Talk Radio. We're back next week. John, you're going to report in about the gum. You got time. You got 6-7 days to do that.
All right.
And then after that, the following week, we're at John's house live on location.
Yeah.
Have yourself a good rest of your weekend, a good week, and we'll do it again next week right here. I'm Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. Thank you for tuning in to Garden America. Until next time, have a good one. See you.